was a real visionary at a public institution and brought that kind of feeling or that kind of intentionality there. And I'm thinking now of my earlier times in Wisconsin, where the public institution has a very, very clear cast to it, a clear kind of institutional character to it that comes out of the populist movement in Wisconsin, which was a political movement there, and it does somehow characterize their students. But I think that's somewhat unusual in a large multi-university in the public sector. It's something that you expect in the independent sector. This values relationship that private institutions intend to deliver to their students makes a promise that's made in all the most important areas of human development, in intellectual, physical, social, emotional, and spiritual realms of our being and of our study. And that spiritual aspect of the relationship, the values relationship that independent institutions intend to include in their culture and to help their students to learn more than most of the other differentiators I talked about is what makes independent higher education truly somewhat different from public institutions with respect to the value proposition. Not every independent school will specifically include such a component in its values proposition, and fewer still will tie it directly to a religious element in education. But all of them will have some aspect of this part of their character, of their founding, and of their history as part of what makes them the kind of institution they are. The possibility is present, both explicitly and implicitly, in the curriculum, in the extracurricular programs that are carried on, in the major events that the institution celebrates, and the people and the causes that the institution honors, and the outcomes that it seeks to bring about in its student development that constitute the specific vehicles that private institutions use to portray and to transact this values proposition with its students, with its alumni, its benefactors, and all the other constituents who are interested in that institution. Independent institutions that stay close to this understanding of what the educational enterprise is for themselves and how they fit and align properly with the educational resources of an entire community are those that do the best in portraying precisely what their value is to the community at large, and who are most successful in bringing this values proposition into reality in the lives of their students, their alumni, and their community. Thank you very much for listening to my comments, and I'd be happy to respond to any questions you might have, or to listen to comments that you have for its improvement. That's a wonderful question, which I appreciate greatly. I'd like to answer it with a with an answer that I received from a colleague of mine, with whom I had just tried an experiment. I had taken the catalogs, the university catalog, from a community college, a public institution, my institution, and Harvard University. And I blacked out the name of the institution and copied that page in the very beginning of the catalog, and you see it in every catalog that talked about the nature of the education and its value to students. And you couldn't tell the difference. You couldn't tell the difference, except Harvard did use the word Nobel laureates in there, and I didn't blank that one out, and so the person guessed. But you were unable to tell the difference, okay? And that has something to do with this whole, the whole attempt on the part of all kinds of institutions of higher education to show value. Well, and I was trying to make the argument with him, how do you expect me to increase enrollment when everybody's selling the same product? And the community college and the public school are selling it for a third of what I am, and Harvard's selling it and doing great at twice what I'm charging for it. I got no sympathy whatsoever from my colleague. I simply got a lecture on the cost-value interaction in higher education, and really that is what it comes down to. It's a question of providing the individual who might be interested in your institution, and especially if it's a prospective student or a parent, about the relative weight of the value that they can expect from the educational experience to the cost of what the tuition and the other parts of it are. But to be, and that's simple enough, right? But and unfortunately, for many enrollment officers, that's as far as it goes. But for those of us like myself who are now responsible for the work of those recruitment officers and who are very concerned about how well they do, we have to do better than that. And frankly, I think our prospective students and their parents deserve better than that, and they surely are beginning to expect more than that. They're expecting us to be able to articulate the values proposition in an elevator speech, if I can kind of mix my metaphors here. They're expecting us to be able to tell them in 5 to 10 minutes, 5 to 10 seconds, what it is about our institution that specifically differentiates us from others, that generally incorporates for them the kind of general education they would want their child to get. That's going to be an education for making a living, as well as an education for life. Okay, and then to show them how it will add value beyond what other places can do. 10 seconds to 20 seconds to do that. All right, and that means that's why I spent the time at the beginning talking about the fact that the mission statement has to be clearly focused, articulated, clearly targeted at individuals and aligned properly. And it's that alignment part that constitutes what we call the fit and feel of an institution for a student. And if you look at the research, you'll find that fit and feel comes in second behind perceived academic quality as the reasons why students choose the institutions they choose. So what we have to do is we have to be able to make what I call the elevator speech. For me, it's the arete moment. Okay, that's what I call it at the University of Dallas. When someone asks me that question, what is the particular value? I say we're a classical, we have a classical curriculum offered in the traditional great books, and we do that around the Greek concept of arete, which means a distinctive kind of nobility of character. That nobility of character will inhabit your mind, your heart, and your soul if you come to my university. And if you have time, I can tell you how we do that. Thank you. That was a little more than 20 seconds. Close. Yes, sir.
In the business world, advertising plays an enormously important role. Swallows up a lot of the budget. What is the role of advertising in higher education?
It's an important role, and it's becoming increasingly important. In fact, you'll notice perhaps less as a faculty member than we who are administrators have to, but I get an immense amount of mail that's advertisements, and it's advertisements from other universities, and the advertisement is, put me higher in the rankings because I do this wonderfully. And the amount of money spent on that has to be just staggering, because these are typically 10 to 15 page, high color, glossy, beautiful laminated pieces of stuff